Little Dawnxi's Intellectual Development Summary. When our daughter little Dawnxi was first born, she would occasionally grasp what we put in her hand. Perhaps this was called the grasping reflex and was unconscious. She smiled, which we thought may also be unconscious. Little Dawnxi spent most of the first month of his life sleeping, except for breastfeeding, and at about 1 month of age, little Dawnxi began to smile, initially during light sleep and then, when older, during sleep. At 2 to 3 months of age, little Dawnxi responded quickly and in a coordinated manner to our voices. She would smile at us when we called out to her. Little Dawnxi was happy when we teased her, even waving her little arms and stomping her little legs and feet in excitement. At 2 months old, little Dawnxi's laughing style became rich and varied, with smiles and giggles. At this stage, little Dawnxi could already make simple sounds such as A and ooh. When we spoke to her in a loving tone, she would giggle. Sometimes little Dawnxi even moved her hands and feet with joy, very cute. During this time, however, crying was still one of her primary means of expressing her needs. Little Dawnxi loved to listen to us when she was 2 or 3 months old, so whenever we had time, we tried to talk to her more, made more sounds, coaxed her, and sang children's songs. When little Dawnxi looked intently at something, we told her what it was called. We told stories and sang songs to little Dawnxi. Although little Dawnxi did not understand the words we said or the songs we sang, they helped her understand the importance of sounds and vocalizations, which is extremely important for little Dawnxi's language learning and intellectual development. We took every opportunity we had to talk to her. We responded enthusiastically and promptly to every sound and smile little Dawnxi made. When little Dawnxi babbled each sound, we tried to repeat it, which resonated with her, made her happier, and encouraged her to be more active. More importantly, this would develop little Dawnxi's conversational skills, allowing her to become familiar with the intonation, timing and rhythm of talking to others. We do not interrupt little Dawnxi when she was speaking, but listened and responded to her carefully. This way she would realize that her pronunciation was important and that we cared and liked to hear her talk. This was a great encouragement for little Dawnxi. When we took 3-month-old little Dawnxi outside to an unfamiliar environment, little Dawnxi was alert to the 4 directions and looked around with her own little eyes, showing her strong curiosity about her surroundings. At 3 months old, little Dawnxi would quickly look at us when we called her. The eyes are the windows to the soul. We could see it in little Dawnxi's eyes, which were full of spirit. At a distance of 20 to 30 centimeters in front of little Dawnxi's eyes, we used black and white cards, or toys to cross in front of her face, and we found her eyes reflected accordingly. At 3 months old, little Dawnxi was not yet able to grasp what she wanted, but as a mom and dad, we had noticed her tendency to grasp things. In terms of communication skills, little Dawnxi could recognize us, her mother and father. When she heard our voice, she was happy or smiling. At 4 months old, little Dawnxi was hospitalized for a few days due to eczema and was sensitive to strangers and things, suspicious and curious, and smiled at the medical staff and caregivers who came frequently. Every time little Dawnxi's primary care doctor came to check on her, she would say hello to the doctor. At 6 months old, little Dawnxi's fingers were more flexible than before and she had a lot of small movements. She can put her toy items where she wants them, and little Dawnxi has begun to actively seek attention from others. At 6 months, little Dawnxi has made significant changes in both her growth and intellectual development. When given a toy, she actively reaches for it. At 6 months old, little Dawnxi can respond to being called by her name. Little Dawnxi is interested in toys that make sounds and may sometimes hum along with music, although she cannot make the full sound. At 9 months old, little Dawnxi was able to sway rhythmically to music and tap dance to music. She would play games with us in the form of hide and seek. For example, linguistically, little Dawnxi understood more language and our communication with her took on a new meaning. Before little Dawnxi could say many words, she could actually understand more words than we thought. In fact, by that time, Little had already answered many of our questions with simple language and more than a dozen body movements that indicated different meanings. At 9 months old, little Dawnxi loved to read more books and play more games with us, and loved to hear us praise and applaud her actions and words. Little Dawnxi could already wave her hand to say goodbye and clap her hands to say welcome. Little Dawnxi's intellectual development was relatively mature by the time she was 1 year old. When little Dawnxi saw a favorite toy on the floor, she would squat down to play with it for a while and then stood up to walk again. In terms of social adaptation, little Dawnxi was learning to do household chores, such as wiping the table and cleaning the floor. During this stage, we helped little Dawnxi improve her cognitive and behavioral skills. These were all signs of little Dawnxi's intellectual development that we paid more attention to. By this time, little Dawnxi had entered the more mature stage and was able to do many things on her own and choose what she liked compared to before. From 1 year old to now, 1 year and 7 months old, little Dawnxi's changes were relatively obvious. Little Dawnxi was more curious about new things in life, and we found that when she got something, she liked to knock it by hand. When little Dawnxi felt that her hand was not making a sound, she would change it to another hand and knock again. Currently, 40 episodes of the children's TV show, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, is little Dawnxi's favorite TV show. She sometimes feels happy for the success of the characters in the TV series, and sometimes sad for their setbacks, as if she has become a part of the series. Little Dawnxi thinks her toy pet Tiger Judy is the sister of Tiger Daniel on the TV show, and when she sees Daniel the tiger brushing his teeth, she takes a toothbrush and brushes toy Tiger Judy's teeth too. Little Dawnxi loves to read picture books, one after another, and sometimes, holding a book by herself, she will read it for a long time, or use her hand to hold a pen to scribble on the paper, or take a water pen to draw on the water pen board. At this time, we consciously use more words to guide her actions, such as asking her to give the red ball to Daddy and the green ball to Mommy, so that she can develop the concept of doing things according to instructions. Little Dawnxi's little hands are already very nimble, so we take advantage of this opportunity to guide her in a subtle way. And sometimes little Dawnxi likes to throw things to tease us and make us angry on purpose. We patiently told her that she needed to be responsible for leaving things on the floor and getting them dirty, and asked her to clean them up with us. Now, little Dawnxi is dazzling us with day-to-day changes in speech, personality and behavior. Although a baby's intelligence is influenced by genetics, the most important thing is the parent's education and intellectual development. If we can pay attention to little Dawnxi's intellectual development and put more effort into this area, naturally little Dawnxi will develop faster. Little Dawnxi now has a smooth gait, can walk freely, squats easily, and can throw a ball with the purpose to play. Little Dawnxi's spare time interests have also become more active, such as playing the piano, banging on the piano, and playing the drums on her own. Sometimes we find that little Dawnxi's physical and intellectual development has not reached a good level. Generally speaking, little Dawnxi's development is not ideal, but we're not too worried, because there are individual differences in the degree of learning and acceptance of knowledge. As long as we guide little Dawnxi correctly in its future growth, little Dawnxi will grow up healthy and well. A baby's intellectual development is a step-by-step process. It is impossible to reach the top in one step. It should help little Dawnxi to enhance intellectual development in a gradual process. Whether it is language, social adaptation, weight, exploration, etc., we all need little Dawnxi's cooperation to help her develop faster.